Welcome everybody to the Horus and Seth session, end of page 14. I think last time we got all the way to the end, if I'm not mistaken, of page 14. However, we didn't do the hieratic yet, if I remember correctly. So let's catch up on that real quick. Also a good way to get back into the text. I'm not quite sure where to start, so I'll just start at 14:10. Tell me if that's like completely wrong.
It was the very end of the line from when enough.
Okay, so then, like you said, when enough as a marker. What was that? This was to be pronounced differently. Was it Refset? Refet? How is that one pronounced?
Hesvet or something?
Hesfet, right?
Hef-
Hesfet
yeah.
to respond.
No, it starts with the H.
Right. So Hesfetuf, us, answer it quickly. This is spelled out alphabetically, so just in a weird order. So nothing too surprising. The little two that we've seen many times before, where the T becomes this, I would call it almost like a triangle shaped thing. So TUF, tuf. Us. Let's look at the us here a little bit. That's kind of weird, honestly. I was expecting something that looks more like that doesn't have a flat line at the bottom, but okay, all right. This one here, that's interesting. I'm not sure we've looked at that before. And I'm not completely sure how to write this. Um, I mean, it looks to me like it looks to me like it's a loop, very similar to this. And then it has something in here, which I presume is that string, but I'm actually not sure if that's the case. So let's have a quick look at it. If anybody had the Gardener code, that would really help me, because I know I don't know this one. I'll take suggestions there. Which category is that even in? Let's see. While you are looking, I'm also going to bring up the Unicode hieroglyphs. That should be it, actually. There we go. That's my lifeline, because I can never remember the Gardner codes, since I always type them out by sound, not by whatever their order is. So let's have a look. If anybody finds it faster than me, please just chime in.
I think, is it V2?
This one here, then, right?
Yeah.
V2.
Yeah.
You're absolutely completely correct. V2.
There's an app called Ren and Kemet that
That's exactly.
I like that one.
We found it at almost exactly the same time.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, Ren and Kemet is good. I think it only works on the iPhone though, right? Not sure if it exists for Android.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it works on Android.
Yeah, but I like that one too. So here we go. So this is sort of what you would expect. If we look at this here isn't a W, it's some kind of rope. But since the W is written the same way, and gets abbreviated into something like this, normally with like a little tick at the beginning, that sort of makes intuitive sense. Then it just gets longer with time. Can get a dot. I mean, why not? I think it's still the same logic though, like horizontal stroke and then just something snaking downward. Oh, this looks a lot like what we have. So, oh, it's exactly the other way around from what I thought. Too interesting. So this here is actually the horizontal stroke, and this is the loop. The loop is this. Good that we checked, because I had it completely backwards. Interesting. Okay.
Like they're crossing it out, but it was already diagonal, so they had to choose. They chose to do another diagonal versus straight line.
So here you go. That's what it is. So this is our horizontal line, actually, and that loopy thing is the W. And then you just have the walking legs underneath. The left-hand side of the walking legs is not that easy to read, but I mean, knowing that that's what it is. Then the us is also kind of sorry, not the SS, the seps now, the doubling of this is also kind of, I mean, you sort of have to know what that is. So there's a circle, almost like the Ra or Re circle on top, and then this here is our number 2. Okay. Pa et.
Sorry, do you think he accidentally wrote a W instead of an Aleph in Os?
It did occur to me because that's what it really looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what a well-behaved Aleph should look like, and it doesn't look anything like it. It really looks more like a
Quailchick,
W,
yeah.
doesn't it? It looks like a spelled out Quailchick or something else. But yeah, kind of weird. But we've had that a few times that they respond to a letter quickly. So from context, that makes sense. Also with the determinative. But yeah, good point. Okay, where were we? So write quickly, neti. So we had the demotic lesson, quite a few of us on the server, with Foy at the what's it called now? Not Oriental Institute, Institute for the Studies of Ancient Cultures, ISAC. And he always says neti, I guess what it should be Egyptologically. I always call it enti because I think it becomes et in late Egyptian, so that T is going away. But I had to correct myself every time I was trying to read something out in that class, because that class, of course, says neti. No, whatever. So pa et, pa et nib erger. So to the Lord of all, im na er ta. This ta you sort of have to know. It's really hard to read, but it's a little t and then the Z or Z looking abbreviation for the Aleph word, and then comes the pesjet, the Ennead. I think nothing new here. This ligature we've seen a few times for to say jed, just an R and then a highly abbreviated jed to say, namely, say what? Iirtu gabot, gabi. Hang on. Zai, choru, herich. Why do you hurt my son Horus? Herich, it's a question. Anak, while I, ir, iruten, am the one who has made you. 10. This one's interesting. So that's a really tall T up here, but we've seen that before as well. So nothing new there. Nicht. This one's a bit weird. What he really did here is he wrote the N, then he wrote this thing and went back into the N, so it almost looks like the sign starts here. I think it's just an artifact. Nicht, so it's really just N, Het, and then Het spelled out again. Let's go on. Ger what? No, ger anak, because I, iru, the one who has made. Now it gets complicated. So this apparently is how he writes that grain sign. This is clear. This is the plural strokes underneath. And then the grain sign itself, we have it here twice. I mean, that's not obvious, is it? Let's take a look at that one. Down here. Yeah, there it is. It's U9. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
It might be U10
Oh, U10?
because it's got the little grains on top as well.
True.
Yeah.
Good point. Here we go. So
Nice. Yep, U10.
This is kind of intuitive. So just some kind of almost like a mouth with the grain coming out of it as a long line. And then those grains on top, that's just the 3 dots on top. And as we go on, the bottom part looks more and more like a K. Interesting. So it has like this loopy thing, which is just the top of the barrel. And then I guess these are our little grains. Let's take a look at the other one just for comparison. Interesting. So this is the shape without the 3 extra grains, like sort of like a mouth with something extra on it here, or like a K with something extra on it. Honestly, it looks a lot like a K. I think that's how I'm going to choose to remember it going forward, like a K with an extra stroke. And then if you have this variant, the K just gets like a extra little loopy on top. Okay. All right. Learned something new about hieratic signs. So that's our sign here. Does it fit?
What actually is it? Is it a keg or is it a door or is it?
Oh, this thing itself? I think it's a barrel, right? It's like a barrel with grain in it for storage
Yeah,
purposes.
it says it's a corn measure, but who knows?
Oh, a corn measure. Okay,
Like,
that makes even more sense.
measurement of corn.
That makes more sense. So like a bushel or something? Is that the word? Sounds
Yeah,
kind of.
maybe or like a basket of wheat, corn, like how you measure different products.
So we have Eat and Betty, and I always forget which one is which. One is emmer, and one is another type of grain. Sorry, not good at that. Um, Agricultural knowledge extremely limited. But here's our dot, here's our K. For some reason, this has actually 2 dots and then something in front. So it's a bit more complicated than what we just looked at. Here's one, here's the K, and then there's this grain coming out still seems to be coming out in front. Oh, no, that's the W. Oh, now I get it. Hang on. Sorry, being a bit slow here. So this is really, it's really only this. That's it. This thing here is the W. I mean, of course, it's written like this, but this is the W. These are our plural strokes. So that's the grain sign. And then there's the plant itself here. Yeah, that's also highly abbreviated, isn't it? Then a T. That's
Is there an
this.
arm coming off of the plant of the tree-like shape?
Oh, this here? That would
Yeah,
make a lot of
or
sense,
is that part
actually,
of?
because the tree glyph has that. That has the little arm at the side. Okay. I guess today we're going to do a lot of lookup. Let's have a look.
I'm 34.
Thank you.
I got the
Which,
jump on that one.
which letter was it?
Thanks.
M.
M. Okay. M34. Let's see if it normally has a branch to the side. And the answer is it does. Okay. So how would you write that? Almost like a nu on top and then a long vertical. Almost. Or almost like an H. Huh. With a little vertical there. I mean a
Yeah, it
vertical
looks like
diagonal.
a surprised H a little bit.
A little bit, doesn't it? So it depends on how descriptive you want to be. It could be like a surprised H with a dot on top and a diagonal. Lots of ways
A
of
little
doing
bit
it.
like an I glyph, like an E,
Mhm.
like a
Again,
reed leaf.
this one here, right? This looks almost like a reed leaf with a.
Yeah, if you can't see the extra little squiggles at the top.
Mm. So lots of variation in this one over time. Okay. Cool. Very cool. So 2 types of grain that Osiris claims I'm the one who made them. Made them for what? Made them se'anich, to give life or to nourish, I guess. Ensure, the gods. Me, sorry, wrong line. Me, and that was that was Mina Yaut, the cattle. And Aaron had found this one. The cattle are we. Want to elaborate on this a little bit?
Actually, you know more about it than I do. I just found the footnote in the Simpson translation that the cattle before the gods are humans. man
Yeah.
or the cattle. We're their cattle. So, but there was a reference. I forget now what it was in Ebers,
Yeah,
Westcar.
Wesker, Papyrus Wesker.
Yeah.
In Wesker, you have that famous story where the magician who supposedly can like reanimate people and the like, he's being asked by the king to reattach the head of a chopped out. I mean, the ask is we're going to chop off the head of a prisoner and then you're going to reattach it by your magic. And the magician basically says it's not proper to do that to the herd of the gods, basically. Let's use a goose instead. So that I think is proof positive that the herd of the gods or the little animals of the gods, that's us, basically. But great find,
And
though.
also, that trick doesn't work with humans
That could
because
be
that
true.
trick. I mean, the trick is a bird's head you can tuck in that makes it look like their head got chopped off. I mean, not to give away magical. Oh, no, I'm going to get in trouble now.
Is that how it works?
But it is actually a magic trick.
I didn't know that. Is that? Oh my God.
Oh
That's
yeah, so
funny.
he
Now
must
we
be
know that you're
sweating
not a
bullets
real
and, like,
magician.
it's like, I can't do it because humans are. Yeah.
Oh, that is too
Well, at least
funny.
now we know that you're not a real magician because you just revealed a trick. So we can rest assured that you're not going to like curse us or anything. So that's good.
That is too funny. It never occurred to me to think about it that way. That's pretty awesome. So in any case, so Osiris says that that he's basically the one who creates the grain to give life to or to keep alive the gods and the humans. The humans. Let's look at the Yaut first. Yaut. That's spelled fairly clearly. This is this funky combo glyph here at the end. Here we have our flying squirrel. Determinative stroke. I believe him that these are plural strokes, although it's kind of, oh, now I see it. This belongs to it. This part is a bit washed off. Okay. I mean, these could be plural strokes, vertical ones. It could also be a divine determinative, which doesn't make a lot of sense, though, in this context. So I think plural strokes is right. Then we have Here, Sa. This is a big determinative stroke at the end of Ha. Here, this is the Sa, which gets very abbreviated. We've seen that before. Here, Sa, and Chure, the gods. Okay. Did we have that last bit here?
No, that's as far as we got.
All right. Well, then now it's finally time for me to hand over. Whoever wants it. So far, he's basically declared that he's the one who's in charge of keeping them all alive. So yeah, of course they can completely ignore what he wants. I think he's probably going to go on in that vein. Clear all drawings. Here we go. I should probably zoom out a little bit. Hang on.
I can try it.
All right.
No one else wants. Iubu gem su Necheret neb et, presumably. Er iref. Stop there.
Let's pause there.
So could not find it. So any gods or goddesses could not find it. Couldn't find out how to do it.
Yeah, interesting.
No
huh?
god or goddess could find how to do it. I don't know. Am I close?
I think you are. I'm puzzling about this myself. I must admit,
This is a negation, right? This boo.
yeah, the boost definitely a negation.
And Sue find it.
Yeah, this is weird a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just trying to see if I have any notes here on this.
What kind of verb is this? Is the gem?
So I would say this almost looks to me like a negative aorist, which normally takes iri, bu iri, but for few verbs it doesn't. I think gem is one of them. So that could be it. What else could it be? So bu doesn't do too many things in Late Egyptian. It could be a negative aorist, or it could be this rare negative past ZMF, not has one found would also be a possibility. And that's pretty much it. How can you tell them apart? Let's see. In the aorist, the object would be an object, what you call it, in a dependent
Suffix?
pronoun. No, it would
Oh,
be a
okay.
dependent pronoun. That's the thing,
Oh, okay.
because it's not an infinitive. So that would be this. But then for that negative past tense, it would also be this. So I can't tell them apart, unfortunately, by looking at what the object is. And the
About
question,
context.
context, right? The
Are they
question is,
saying you couldn't find, no god or goddess could figure out how to do? What's he talking about? He's talking about judging between Horus and Seth, right? So no
no,
god or goddess
I
has
think
been
so.
able to find out how to do it.
zoom out a little bit. And I'm sorry, I went through that indeed, like at a glacially slow pace. But what he said before is he started with, so Osiris has gotten, hang on, what was it here? After all, I'm the one who made you all strong and who's keeping you alive, right? So he's clearly trying to assert his position. And he was complaining just a bit earlier about why do you hurt my son Horus? So I don't think he's talking about the judgment here. He said, what did you say? They didn't find it, any god or goddess to do it, right? I think he's talking about, none of them being able to do what he can do. That's the way I took it, or the way I take it. But um, how does it mean that? If that's what it is that it means.
Oh, to be able to create the food, to be able to nourish the gods and humans and all that. That's what he's talking about.
That's how I took it. I took it as he's basically saying, like, look, I'm doing all these things for you, and similar to what Seth had said before. Seth, when they were trying to put him in a bad spot, like 10 pages back or something, and decide against him, he said, I'm standing on the barge of Ray every night, and I'm the only one who can take care of our poppies. So basically Osiris is using the same line here, saying like, I'm really important and nobody can do my job. So of course you can. You can diss me, right? You think that's more or less what he's trying to say. How does it work grammatically, though? That's interesting. And if is clear to do it, so that's the purpose clause at the end. That makes sense. And this here's a negative aorist would make a lot of sense if I'm correct in my interpretation, because cannot, nobody can find. I just don't know what the su does. I mean, if this is a nominal subject of a negative aorist, because if it is a nominal subject, it would have to come after any object pronoun. So that would make sense. So no god or goddess can find su, whatever su is, and iref to do it. So that gives you the really awkward sentence, while no god or goddess is able to find it to do it. Sounds super weird, doesn't it?
So, sorry, is Sue an object pronoun or a subject pronoun?
I
How are we-
Object.
I
an
think
object.
it's a
Like
it's
find
an
it.
object. Mhm.
It is object.
Okay. And is it
Definitely an
referring
object.
to it like indefinite, something that's indefinite, or is it referring to a god or goddess that they find or that's found?
I think it's the ability to create the wheat and barley, the ability
Okay.
to nourish gods and man.
So the idea
It.
of like no one can do this or it,
Right,
sort of.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think
That's
that's what it tries to say. Let's have a look here if it's. Oh,
You can translate Gem as control, and then
control.
that controller lose to land.
Oh, do you have another
Gem means
example for that?
control?
Yeah, it means control too, yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Like knowledge as power kind of concept, maybe.
Yeah, Gemi as one of its less
interesting.
common meanings. Yeah, control. But it means control as in to control the land, not like a person or an animal, but just the land. Check in I think I saw that in Vicus.
Oh, cool. I had not seen that one before. That's interesting. So nobody can a god or any god or goddess control it to do it? Sounds, I mean, Less clunky than what I had. Let's see what Ellie has. Boogemis, he takes it as a suffix pronoun, but that doesn't make much sense to me. So he takes the Necheret Nebet as an apposition. So as if this S was indeed the subject, and this is just like you have to imagine in modern parlance a comma behind it. Not can he or she, namely any god or goddess. That doesn't strike me as correct. Or you could take it as a passive. That's what he does. He says literally, there is none, or you cannot find here, whether god or goddess. It's a bit clunky. Does Gardner have anything? Don't want to be stuck on one sentence forever, but this is a bit of a
I'm
mystery.
looking at Ramses right now.
Can that form be used for the passive in Egyptian?
God's one neither God is able to conceive it.
I think it can. There would be like an aorist passive. I think that exists. I seem to remember
What is
something.
IPFV imperfective? IPFV? Is that?
I think so.
I'm looking at Ramses. They have IPFV negative, negative imperfective.
I think
Negative,
so.
aorist, imperfective.
Yeah. They take it as a dependent pronoun. Huh. That's an interesting beast. Negative imperfective. Okay. All right. Hang on. Apparently I can't.
Isn't that just the negative Sejm F?
Yeah, just with the boo in front of it, which is kind of rare. I mean, normally you use bin, right, for all sorts of negations in late Egyptian. Hang on, we're gonna solve this one.
This is why the review session we're doing right now is so useful
You're right.
in the language of Ramses class.
That is true. Page
Definitely.
70. I mean, that's when you can really tell whether you know or you don't know, right? And unfortunately, often the answer is So, aorist. Is it aorist or aorist? I've heard both. I have the feeling the first one may be me. And it's really aorist.
Classics people often say aorist, so I think it's fine.
Okay. I escaped. Here we go.
It says, well, that's a infixed.
So, Bu Sechem F. This thing, which later becomes Bu EDF Sechem with an expansion. But this one is a Sechem F form, like you said, Chris. And I think it's just trying to find, is there anything about a passive in here? No, I misremembered. Nothing about a passive per se. May have to be a follow-up topic, honestly. I mean, let's take one more look at what Gardner has to say, because I think he had something on this one as well. Let's see. Or at least his translation. Gardner, where are you? And no god nor any goddess found himself able to do it. So able, that indicates to me aorist, so that is good. To do it, that's our irif at the end. Found himself. I think that's how he's trying to get around the su. He's trying to take it as a... Could be. Oh, yeah, could be.
Reflexive.
He's right. It's reflexive. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
I'm programmed to think F for reflexive because you often have that You often have that
right.
That the F.
Too.
But of course, this is a dependent pronoun since it's a finite verb form. It's a Sechem F. It's a aorist that's comprised out of a boo and a sejamef. So you have to use your object pronoun, your direct object is a su, and then it all fits together. I think we have it. So no god found himself being able to, I guess, huh? Yeah, I guess I'll buy
Like that
that.
translation the best.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's the most smooth so far, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Shall we park it here? So, and also it's an exact parallel to what we had before with Seth complaining again about his power basically not being respected. He's saying, I'm sustaining all of you while no other god has found himself able to do it. I think that seems kind of convincing. Let's go with it. Okay, who wants to continue? So thus spake or thus spoke Osiris. And normally you would expect another red aha n here. Just imagine it's there. So it's a full stop here, and the next line begins. Who wants to take it?
I
I'll
can
go.
do it.
Oh.
Christopher, please.
Okay. All right. So we have aha pa
That's right. I'll make it a bit bigger. Here we go.
waha ni aset seper pa neti ra heru or acheti im im
Im. Let's stop there. Whose letter is it? It's the uha in.
letter of aset.
Are you sure?
Oh, why did I say aset? Osiris. Thank you.
No worries. That's fine.
The
The spelling
thrones of the here.
Okay, all right. What do you make out of it?
Then the letter of Osiris reached to or toward or to Horacheti, the wait, but I want to go back and if I can and juggle around with this pa neti literally for a second, if I may. Reach
Absolutely.
to the one who
I have no idea how to transcribe Osiris. Where are we now? Is it
yeah,
Wisir? Is
yeah,
ear?
Wisir.
Okay, I'll go with this. And Wisir, Sapir. Oh, maybe not. Sapir, and yet you said this part, right? Pa, neti, pa, re, charachti. I can never spell that properly. Acheti, right? Like this?
Acheti.
Something like this.
One who, ra, acheti, there, or in, or.
Yeah. So what do you make out of this whole thing? This is the fun of Egyptian relative sentences.
The one who. So it's behaving nominally here, right? Pa neti. So the one who or the arrive to the one ra hor acheti.
Remember that neti doesn't have to be a person. The one who or the place where.
Or can be a location. Neti.
It's a location. That's right.
Location.
And I've missed a horde here somewhere. My apologies. I knew something was wrong. I don't know how to fix it right now. But imagine there's a ger achti, ger achti. There's a ger in the middle. So just think it's there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, build it backwards. Pare charachti im would mean
The re rahti there.
yeah. Pre-charachti is there. Neti pre-charachti im.
So be the place where Rehorachti is.
Correct. Which Recharachti is in it, so to say. And then you just put it in a defined article, definite article in front of it, and it becomes the which Hieratic is in other words, the place where Hieratic is in. That's really
Gotcha.
it. I love these. They take a lot of getting used to. But on the other hand, it's so cool what you can do with relative sentences that you can't really do in any other language I know like that. Not as elegantly. Latin can do a lot with participles, but this is kind of where you can take like entire sentences and just put an et in front of it in Coptic and call it a relative sentence and be done with it, or make a new noun out of it, or whatever you want. That's kind of cool. Egyptian's really the only language I know that does that. So the whole sentence, I think you had it.
Sorry, what?
I was saying, so the whole sentence becomes?
Hold on 1 second. The dog is in there. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. I
No
have a
worries.
dog barking here.
Yeah, could hear that.
You can go ahead and go on without me.
Okay, all right. Then so just to quickly recap. So, and then the letter of Osiris reached the place that Pre-Harachti was in it. And yeah, that's it. So that's what happened. And then let's go on. Let's see what happens. Of course, he's going to have it read out to him. Zoom in. Who wants to take the next part? UF, etc.
I can try.
Please do. Sounds good. Hang on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So EUF MC hena ta pesajet ta iad.
That's
Is that a
weird one.
word?
Yeah,
Is that one word or two words?
it's one word. I had to look it up. It's there are 4 attestations in the thesaurus, of which one is this one, so 3 others. In one other attestation, it clearly seems to mean field or pasture, like for animals to graze on, because it says the iadet is good for the herdsman, and it has some determinative of cows there. So it seems logical to translate this word as field or
A
meadow.
field of silver or?
Chat, you're thinking of chat silver, but by itself the word just means white, or like imagine like gleaming white. That's where the name of silver comes from the
Okay.
the sparkle. So it could just be the white field.
And then it's pa Astawi.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have no clue on this word.
Where do you think it ends?
Hassa? Yeah, Hassa. And then it's Ui.
It could be. It could be. But there's one hint. There's like a little city here at the end. So this whole thing is the city of, here we go, Sacha, in the delta. Here you go. Chasut. In Koine Greek, Zeus. In Coptic is Cho. And the spelling is, how do we want to call that? Let's call it imaginative. There's a lot going on. Pa, cha, sa, we.
Okay.
All right, that is what it is. So yeah, let's pause there. So what did you make out of the whole sentence?
Okay. And he was sitting with the Pesajet
Mm-hmm.
in the gleaming field
Mm-hmm.
in the citadel.
In
In
Zeus.
Hassarusa.
That's right. Okay. What happens then? Want to take the next one too?
Yeah, and AHN.
Mm-hmm.
There is Ash F, but what is before that?
This is a common abbreviation. So W often gets abbreviated to a single stroke. And if you have like 2 afterwards, that also gets abbreviated to like 2 strokes. So the whole thing is EU2.
So then one,
Mm-hmm.
he cried in his presence.
Mm-hmm.
Hanata Pesajet Then it's a stop. So
Yeah.
then, yeah. Can you shift the line again?
Sure.
So and then he cried out in the presence of the Pestilent. Okay.
Mhm. You're pretty close. There's one little thing here. There's another translation for Osh that fits better than cry. It can mean cry. It can mean another thing. Like, for example, like Osh in Coptic as well. Thinking about the fact that a letter has just arrived, a piece of writing.
So we read it out.
Correct. And then one read it, namely the letter, out, Embachev, in front of him, Chena Tapesjet, together with the Ennead. Ennead, not the Ennead. So yeah, cool. Well done. Yeah, so far so good. UF Hemse is that he was sitting. This could be a stative. It could be also an infinitive, UF Herhemsi, and he was sitting down. Actually, that would make more sense. So he was sitting down together with the Pestjet in the white field in Xois, and one read out the letter to him, or in front of him, together with the Pestjet. All right, well done.
Again, I would say Hemsi is not sitting. In most of the cases.
It can be one of two things. It can be three things, actually.
No, in this case, it is clear he was there with the Pestilent. He was
Yeah,
not sitting there. He was in the place where the Pestilent was.
that's a good question. I mean, you're right. For English, I think I would
Oh.
agree with you. Because very often, to your point, Kremse is just it's like estade in Spanish. When you say estade, you don't really necessarily mean that somebody is standing there. It's just you're being there. And it comes from an old word estade, which means to stand. It's the same, to your point. It's the same with Kremse. Very often it doesn't really literally mean sitting down. It just means he was there. You're right. That was the third meaning I was thinking of. It could be three things. It could be to be sitting. It could mean to sit down, or it could just mean to be there. So yeah, you're right. So then he was there with a pest jet would be totally acceptable.
Stow in Latin is even worse. It can be sometimes transitive, sometimes intransitive. It's like he's established or he's placed.
I'm very tempted to go on that
And-
tangent. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna control myself.
it's
That's
okay. Don't worry
interesting.
about it.
Let's do the
Greek is a
bench chat
similar thing
later.
with histemi. There's like different forms in Greek for histemi for like to stand versus to establish. Anyway, go ahead.
Interesting. Cool.
Hems can also mean rest, can't it?
I
Maybe.
think so. I
I
think
could be
so.
hallucinating.
No, could be. I mean, often you like you have things like to Jonathan's point, you have things like I've been sitting here for 3 days doing nothing. How long should this go on, basically? Or how long do you want me to sit here waiting? I mean, you can even do that in English. It doesn't literally mean you're sitting there on your behind. It's just
Yeah, it's like you're stationed there. Like
I'm stationed
people
there,
who are in the
exactly.
military are stationed there for a long time waiting to do something, and then you do something.
That's right. Okay, so then our the message has been read out. Time for Eperecharachi to say something. So who wants to take the next one?
Should we look at the hieratic before we get too far?
Okay, let's do it. Fine. That's good. Let's see if there are any surprises in there. I'm trying to find our U Ben. Here's the U. U Bu, not Ben. U Bu Game. I always have a hard time remembering how to write Game. It's really that easy. It's just long beak, then the back line of the bird, and the walking legs, and it may get a little strokey on top. I'm not quite sure what that is.
It gets a lot of space right there.
Yeah, no. Game, and then, well, something's missing here. Wait. Oh no, it isn't. My bad. Then here's the M and here's the. I was about to say the book roll becomes the rigour. It has to be there. It's also there in demotic, as I've recently learned. So that book roll is just part of it. Gim is Su. So Su looks like a reed leaf, but with a bigger horizontal stroke. Huge U. Nachar, Nachadib, Nacharet, Nacharet, Nib. There should be a T, but there isn't. Iref. Yeah, nothing too exciting here. Acha en pa, Acha en pahu, Acha en pa ucha. And to your point from earlier, Aaron, I mean, this is really what a W looks like. And that Aleph bird a few lines back really looks like this and not like an Aleph bird. Ah, yeah, be that as it may, ucha, huge string afterwards. Normally he writes plural strokes, and I wonder if they're there or not. Hard to say, honestly, with that big break in the papyrus. Ucha en Usir, Usir, Supir. And this is hard to do in JSesh. I think you can do it, but it's not easy. They like to squish everything, the walking legs, under the spear now. The more, the better. So that's what that is. So spear, walking legs. Pa, et, to the which, pare, char, acheti. We've had all this 100 times. Pa, acheti, im. You don't have to say im off. You can just say im because that's an adverb by itself. It doesn't need to have the resumptive pronoun here, but it just means there. Okay. UF, that F looks an awful lot like a W, but it isn't from context. UF, Chimse, Chena, huge H, little na, Chena, ta. This one we know already, Pesjet, essentially that Re sign with a D and multiple gods. This one here is the divine determinative. This one is the plural strokes. It should really have two little horizontal ticks here or like vertical ticks here. It doesn't, but we know that that's what's there. Ta iadet. You sort of have to know. Iadet. Chetch is written like this often, so this makes sense. It's like a club with a dot on top. Dot, club. So that makes sense. Pa, cha, chasa. This is that abbreviated sa sign again. Chasa, determinative stroke. We. Okay. Water, canal. This is interesting. I mean, this already approximates demotic forms. That's why it later looks like some very nondescript strokes. And then the city determinative at the end. Achaen, EU2 with those three little ticks. Very common for U2. You'll see that a lot in Ramesside. Ash, call out or read aloud. Ashef, Mbach, this one here, it's that phallus determinative with the, how did Nikita call it? With the action coming out. I'll never forget that. It was so funny. In any case, then the Y1 book roll and an F. Renata Pesjet. Again, nothing really new here. Isn't that cool? We know all these. Yupa Re Charachti. I'm not going to go sign by sign because that would be boring.
We haven't done this yet.
Oh, thank you. Too much enthusiasm.
I had a quick question about the Niven or the Neb sign. I might have asked about this a while back. Does it become sort of vertical because it takes up so much space in the hieroglyphic form? I had two examples of that in the first line that you went over, Hieratic. I think it was
these guys, right?
Yeah. Trying to see it right before the ear sign. Yeah, the one that's like Lord of or all of every.
Yeah, this has two shapes. So one is the more traditional one. Sorry.
Just because that's such a common sign in hieroglyphic that it's good to know what the alternative hieratic form is. So.
Well, so there's this here.
Yeah.
Looks almost like it would do like in a funerary papyrus or something, where they'd actually like on the front pages where they want to have it look good for the customer, you may even like fill it in or something. But
Okay.
yeah, and then this here is like the simplified version, which looks like this basically. The characteristic shape is essentially you have these two lines here going into something that almost looks like a Hamza in Arabic, or like a little T, and then you approximate the rest of the shape this way. And you see it a lot like this. And to your
Huh.
point, yeah, because it's very common. I mean, the word neb is super
Yeah.
common. So this is a fairly
Thanks.
common form. Hope that answers it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd seen the one that was with the shading, but I hadn't seen the abbreviated one. So it's super helpful. Thank you.
Right. And I've wondered before if there's like a difference between like neb all and neb the Lord or something, if you write them differently. I've not been able to find such a correlation. Seems to be more of a, I mean, sort of like how sometimes you write the Aleph like this and sometimes like that. It's more like a positional variant, like where it goes. I haven't really found a rule for when you use which one. Because our Horus and Seth has the full form somewhere. I remember I've seen this as we went along. It is somewhere in the text. And it takes up more space then. It's definitely broader. Yeah. Any other questions? Not, I would say good job, because we definitely made it over to the next page. How far did we
I
make
was
it?
also
Yay!
wondering about quickly the other determinatives in the city name. Is that common for city names to have that many determinatives? Is that, I guess you can have as many determinatives as the scribe needs to emphasize um, the standard spelling, but that seems like an excessive amount of
It does,
extra
right?
signs at the end that you don't pronounce.
One.
When you looked up in the Wikipedia, it's on an island, so maybe that's why there's so much water and that kind of thing.
I was just about to say that. You're right. At least according to the article, it's right between the stream and, I mean, between two arms of the stream. Now, that could explain why there's so much water in here. Water, canal, and then it's a city.
Yeah, pretty emphasizing the water.
That is
So
true.
a bit like the Philae or something. It's an island, isn't it? And
It
they
is.
like these islands. And if it was a religious center, that would also make sense.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's have a quick look here. How feeling? Bayurak. Okay. But I'm just online.
Also, the duplicate spelling of the quail check for the W reminds you a bit of in Coptic, where you'll have two of the W like oo written twice, and one time it's for consonant, and one the semi vowel, one time it's for the vowel U.
This one you mean, right?
Yeah, like double. Do you think that might be just a way of late Egyptian spelling it out, sort of phonetically,
I
or
think
maybe
it.
just older spelling?
I think this one is definitely something like it's group writing
Like
for
oh,
sure. It's group writing.
right.
I'm trying to get into my head why it has two W's in the even in the more traditional spelling. I mean, you would think that means something. As
Like
whole.
one of them's a semi vowel, like a W, and one of them's an actual oo, like oh, or whoa, or something. Woo.
It could be. It could be. Although, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. The day we figure that out, I think a lot of vocalization will become a lot clearer. I think it means something. Just what exactly? If you look at the Coptic form, it's clear that one of them, to your point, is definitely a real consonant, a W. So, but then why do you have two of them? And then if you the way traditionally Middle Egyptian is reconstructed, people like to pile up tons of W's like haru woo 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 woo. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that anybody really spoke like that. That's just my bias. But
There's so many glottal stops if you do that. It's kind of intense.
Lots of glottals, lots of of weak consonants, lots of J's and W's basically, and I'm wondering if we're not going a bit overboard there. But I don't have anything better. The only thing I can say is that it's a we here that is clearly telling you that this is already written in group writing for whatever reason. They do that not just for foreign words, they also do it for Egyptian words sometimes that have a perfectly good Middle Egyptian orthography. One example that Marwan Kilani has in his video is kherere, flower, which had a Middle Egyptian spelling, and then in late Egyptian it suddenly gets a group writing spelling. Just like in Japanese, you sometimes write things in katakana, even though they're good Japanese words, but you're using it almost like italics or to give them like extra emphasis or something. This happens in late Egyptian too. Yeah, this is an example for something that is domestic, but clearly spelled with group writing. I would say let's leave it there for today. All right. 15-2. So 3 more on this, and what was it? 8 on the other, I believe. Yeah, pretty cool. Great progress. See you all next week for Ramses and Seth. Yeah, no, for Ramses and hopefully for Horus and Seth the week after. Have a great weekend.
Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Thank you all.
Hey, guys,
Bye-bye.
bye.